Buckle up, because this takedown is juicier than Trump's fast food dinner.
Yes, Jimmy.
I know you must be excited. Your guy Trump won the election. Congratulations.
Too soon, Jimmy. Too soon.
Do you expect a cabinet position? I mean, how have you been able to digest this? Or are you still in that shock mode?
Jimmy, I'm a black woman and a lesbian. How the hell you think I'm doing?
Oh boy, Wanda Sykes and Jimmy Kimmel just tag teamed to roast Donald and Melania Trump. And let's be honest, it was long overdue. Trump, the human spray tan experiment gone wrong, and Melania, who always looks like she's plotting her escape, just got exposed in the most brutal way. From shady business deals to Melania's help me blinks, Wanda and Jimmy held nothing back. And let's face it, Trump getting roasted by comedians is the closest he'll ever get to actual fire, since he dodged the draft. Buckle up, because this takedown is juicier than Trump's fast food dinner.
Yes. Do I blame Donald Trump? Of course I do. He's made everybody mad. Everybody just angry. Yeah, everyone's just angry. And yeah. I'm out there. People know. Trump annoys me. His whole family annoys me. Yeah. The whole kit caboodle. They annoy me.
Wanda Sykes didn't just roast Donald and Melania Trump. She threw them on the grill, flipped them over, and left them extra crispy. Trump, the human embodiment of a Twitter rant, got shredded like a cheap suit from one of his defunct casinos.
You know, it's like everyone's waiting for this moment for him to become presidential. Right. You know, they're like, oh, he has to learn how to control his emotions. He has to learn to be measured. But the man is 70 years old. Those are things that you teach kids. You know, I'm teaching my 7-year-olds those things.
Right.
You know, Trump is 70. He's not going to learn that now.
Yeah.
You know, if he's a dick, he's just going to be a dick.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, so...
Subscribe if you are enjoying. This is a man who struts around acting like the second coming of Einstein, but can barely string together a sentence without sounding like a malfunctioning robot programmed by a drunk conspiracy theorist. If arrogance and ignorance had a love child, it would be wearing a red tie 3 sizes too long and bragging about things that never happened.
So I'm guessing you're not a Trump fan then. You would say you're a Trump fan.
I am so not a Trump fan. He annoys me. His whole family annoys me, matter of fact.
Yeah. What about the family annoys you?
Okay, look, a friend of mine was at the movies, and he goes, guess who was here? Tiffany Trump was here with Secret Service.
Tiffany Trump.
Tiffany Trump was there with Secret Service. That annoys me that Tiffany Trump has a Secret Service detail. What the hell is she doing with Secret Service? Don't nobody know who she is. You could be Tiffany Trump as far as I know. You don't know who she is.
I have to...
Wanda pointed out that Trump calls himself a billionaire, yet he treats bankruptcy filings like they're frequent flyer miles. He inherited a fortune, blew it like a kid with a gift card at a candy store, and then somehow convinced people he was a business genius. This man's credit score probably screams in terror every time he tries to swipe a card. He thinks he's the king of deals, but his best negotiation skill is somehow convincing working class people that a gold-plated toilet enthusiast understands their struggles.
My kids are being affected by what's happening in the country. I remember the night that Trump was elected. The next morning, my kids were so depressed. Not depressed, but they were just sad. They were just really sad. And then, like, the next day, I'm talking to my daughter, and she's like really, concerned. I'm like, Olivia, what's going on? She's like, well, one of my friends at school said that now that Trump won, that people with like skin like yours, they're gonna have to leave the country. That you're gonna have.
Let's talk about that hair. That thing has been defying gravity and common sense for decades. It looks like a cotton candy machine had a breakdown on his scalp. If there's a windstorm, you can see it trying to escape his head like it's attempting to defect to Canada. And the spray tan? My God, he's walking around looking like a moldy Cheeto with a grudge. Every time he stands next to an actual human, the contrast makes him look like he lost a fight with a bucket of orange paint.
So I'm wondering, like, is he somewhere like having like plastic surgery, like getting his face redone, like trying to change his identity, and then come back and start some more stuff, I'm just worried,
What kind of face are you worried he might get?
This Trump, man, you don't know. He'll probably do something like, a mix of like Tom Brady and Ted Nugent. You don't know. You don't know.
I think you just described Ivanka, actually.
Then again, you know, he's going to screw that up too, because he's not going to like work the rest of his body. He doesn't have that kind of discipline. So it'll just be a new face, same hair, and same big ass. You know that.
Then there's Melania, America's most reluctant first lady. She walked through the White House like it was an open house she was forced to attend. Her body language screamed, "I'd rather be anywhere else," like a hostage blinking in Morse code. And Wanda made sure to remind everyone that Melania's official First Lady campaign was Be Best, a slogan so uninspired it sounds like it was written by a malfunctioning chatbot. Be best at what, exactly? Ignoring your husband's tweets? Perfecting the art of looking confused in public? The only thing she ever campaigned for was an escape route. And let's not forget her fashion choices. Nothing says, "I care," like a jacket that literally says, "I really don't care, do you?" Melania walks around like a high-fashion mannequin that accidentally got activated and is still buffering. And that accent, it's like she's been practicing English for 20 years but refuses to believe in vowels.
Yes, joint. I was getting caught up on Homeland the other night. There was a scene when they were in, I don't know where the fuck they were. No, they were in Iran, and it was showing the guy talking to people, whatever, and I was looking, I was like, that backdrop looks like Donald Trump's bathroom at Mar-a-Lago. Look at this tacky ass shit. It was awful.
Wanda's roast got Trump's ego reduced to dust, and Melania's side eye was permanently stuck at a 90-degree angle. It was a comedy massacre, brutal, hilarious, and completely deserved. The only thing missing? Trump tweeting in all caps about how he was very unfairly roasted. Sad. She roasted him like a burnt Thanksgiving turkey left in the oven for 3 days straight. Dry, overdone, and completely unrecognizable. She didn't hold back, ripping into his hair, which she said looks like a sentient tumbleweed that escaped from a 1980s car commercial and has been rolling aimlessly ever since. She even suggested that scientists should study it because no one's quite sure if it's real, synthetic, or just a long-lost cousin of the Westminster Dog Show's worst haircut category.
You know, I know they say he's passing gas and everything. So I like that I'm watching it from home.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think I want to be in that room, you know. But the thing is, he's old. So that's what happens when you're old. You fall asleep and you toot a little bit.
And the tan? Oh, Wanda had a field day with that one. She joked that if you stood too close, you might suffer second-degree spray tan burns, and if you looked at it for too long, you'd start seeing different shades of traffic cone orange. She compared it to a bad DIY paint job where the person ran out of patience halfway through and just hoped no one would notice. Then came the expressions. Priceless. Wanda pointed out that he often looks like a toddler who just realized they don't know how to read but is too stubborn to admit it. The squinting, the exaggerated mouth movements, the oddly furrowed brow. It's like someone trying to read a teleprompter written in hieroglyphics while pretending they totally understand it. She even joked that his face constantly cycles through the same three emotions: confusion, misplaced confidence, and, did I just say that out loud? Regret. And the hand gestures? Oh, those deserved a roast of their own. Wanda compared them to someone trying to explain Wi-Fi to their grandma. Random, exaggerated, and ultimately making no sense. It's like his hands are having their own conversation that his mouth isn't invited to. Wanda didn't just roast him, she slow-cooked him, deep-fried him, and served him up on a silver platter.
You know what? I blame those damn, Cheerio commercials and showing all those interracial couples. You scared the out of white people. It's like, what are y'all doing? It's just cereal. Just sell the damn cereal. Why you bringing us into this? They got gay couples selling like, just freaking sell your stuff. Don't bring us into this.
Cheerios. I knew they were responsible for some.
And Melania? Oh, she got roasted to a crisp. Wanda dragged the former First Lady's signature expression, somewhere between forced politeness and deep existential regret. She looks like a woman who ordered filet mignon but got served a gas station hot dog. Wanda joked that Melania's smile is rarer than a UFO sighting, And when she does attempt one, it looks like a hostage signaling for help. And let's talk about that hand slap. Wanda demonstrated Melania's reflexes, saying even NFL defensive backs don't have that level of reaction speed. She painted a picture of Melania treating Trump's hand like it's covered in something toxic, like expired caviar or one of his failed business deals. The crowd absolutely lost it.
Because this funeral had Donald Trump, and that guy can turn anything into a joke. Maybe you've heard of Diamond and Silk, those two sisters who always, showing up at his rallies, praising him on TV, setting the black race back 50 years. You know those two. Trump held meetings with them. He'd invite them to the Oval Office. He would point at them and say, "See, black people love me."
Tonight is a special night at the White House. It's Donald and Melania's 20th wedding anniversary. 20 years is a long time, especially for Melania. This morning, Trump paid tribute to his longest-serving wife by reposting this AI image of himself with a lion.
Then came Jimmy Kimmel's turn, and he was ruthless. He called out Trump's inability to form a coherent sentence, breaking down his speeches like an incoherent game of Mad Libs. The man starts talking about one thing and somehow ends up ranting about windmills, sharks, or his long-lost love affair with fast food. Jimmy mimicked Trump's bizarre speech patterns, complete with his infamous hand gestures, those tiny, erratic chops that make him look like he's trying to karate fight the air.
I'm guessing he noticed a bunch of people posting about his anniversary, which remind him, oh, it's my anniversary. So he then reposted this sweet photo of Melania literally pushing him away from her.
And then there's his hair. Oh, the hair. Jimmy joked that it has more security clearance than half of his staff. Is it a wig? Is it alive? Does it have its own social security number? No one knows. But one thing's for sure, whatever's going on up there defies science. That swirling mess of artificially colored confusion looks like it's one strong gust away from taking flight and filing for asylum in Canada. Some say it's a comb-over, but it's really a crime scene in progress.
Our president kept the crowd very warm at CPAC over the weekend. CPAC, if you're not familiar, is basically what would happen if Judge Jeanine Pirro headlined the Fire Festival. It's a lot of very angry white people. It is the largest gathering of people who believe vaccines are witchcraft in the world. And for 2 hours and 2 minutes, Donald Trump gave what I believe we may look back on as his I Have a Dream speech. This was his longest speech since taking office. He went on and on. You could have left this speech, watched 2 episodes of Game of Thrones, come back, and he would still have been going. And to kick things off, Trump went to one of his signature moves to start it. And I know there's a lot of competition, but I think this might be the dumbest thing he does. Who does that? Donald Trump shows more affection to flags than Eric and Don Jr. have ever gotten in their whole lives.
And let's not forget the skin. Trump's signature shade of expired Cheeto mixed with traffic cone left in the sun. It's like his makeup artist ran out of foundation and just went with a highlighter from Home Depot's Hazard Zone collection. It's a miracle he hasn't been mistaken for a construction barrier on the highway. And the way he pouts, every time he speaks, it looks like his mouth is trying to escape his face. Now let's talk about Melania, because, oh boy, that's a woman who looks like she's perpetually 2 seconds away from sending out an SOS in Morse code with her blinking. You ever see a hostage blink a distress signal? That's Melania at every public event. She has the enthusiasm of a DMV employee on their 5th overtime shift. That Be Best campaign? Honey, we're still trying to figure out what exactly we're supposed to be best at. Ignoring our husband's scandals, avoiding hand-holding, copying Michelle Obama's speeches with a straight face.
According to reports from multiple news outlets, his former sister-in-law alleges that Hegseth's wife was terrified he would abuse her to the point where she and her sister had a code to text each other if her husband became violent, and she feared for her safety.
And that accent. Nothing against accents, but Melania's is the audio version of autocorrect malfunctioning. She speaks 5 languages, but somehow still sounds like a broken GPS, no matter which one she chooses. And the facial expressions? She always looks like she's solving a math problem in her head while regretting every life choice that led her to this moment. Meanwhile, Trump keeps parading her around like some kind of prize he won at a shady casino. He loves to brag about her like she's a rare baseball card, conveniently ignoring the fact that she avoids touching him like he's covered in radioactive waste. Have you ever seen a married couple with less chemistry? Even wax statues at Madame Tussauds look more in love than these two.
If I was going to make stuff up about him, I'd start telling people he wears diapers. I would explain that it's a long trial. He drinks a lot of Diet Cokes to stay awake. He's getting up there in years, and it's perfectly normal for a man of Trump's age and carriage to wear absorbent undergarments to stop the leaks. So, I mean, if I was making stuff up, that I would point out that the reason he stands like this and golfs like this and plays tennis like this is because he has a full diaper strapped around his little mushroom garden, okay?
Melania didn't escape unscathed either. In fact, she became the comedic equivalent of a piñata. Except instead of candy, out came a series of blank stares and vaguely European-sounding sighs. Jimmy wasted no time taking shots at her robotic demeanor, joking that she's been in low-power mode for years. Some say she runs on batteries, but even those seem to have a longer shelf life. At this point, it's unclear if she's glitching, buffering, or simply regretting every life choice that led her to that golden tower in New York.
Jimmy Fallon.
Of course, the jokes didn't stop there. He compared her infamous Christmas decorations to a horror movie set, arguing that no one should feel like they need to carry a crucifix just to walk through the White House hallway in December. Maybe she was going for festive. Maybe she was summoning ghosts. Who's to say? Either way, her holiday spirit seemed about as warm as a freezer aisle in Siberia. And let's be real, who could forget the time she stood next to that Christmas tree display looking like she was auditioning for a role as the villain in a holiday slasher film? One could almost hear the faint whispers of "help me" behind those icy blue eyes. Then there was the burning question. Did she even know she was First Lady? Jimmy speculated that she might have found out the same way the rest of us did, through a breaking news alert. It's entirely possible that she spent her first year in the White House thinking she had accidentally walked into the wrong building and was just too polite to leave. Every public event felt like a hostage situation, except the ransom was paid in awkward smiles and passive-aggressive hand swats.
Usually when Donald Trump gets a spanking like this from a woman, it's with a Forbes magazine. Kamala was pushing his buttons like a 12-year-old playing Fortnite. This was a much better debate than the last debate. This is like the Lion King when Simba came back to avenge Mufasa. Trump's advisors, before the debate, they urged him to be happy Trump instead of mean bully Trump, and to please focus on the issues. Of course, he didn't listen to any of that at all. But who are we kidding? This election isn't about the issues. I mean, Dick Cheney isn't voting for Kamala Harris because he agrees with her on the issues. He's voting for her because there's a rhinoceros charging and she has the tranquilizer gun.
And speaking of public statements, the irony of her Be Best campaign did not go unnoticed. The initiative, meant to combat bullying, felt almost satirical coming from someone who seemed to want to be anywhere else. It was like watching a hostage blink Morse code in real time. Be best? Melania, blink twice if you need an escape plan. While the slogan was plastered on posters and hashtags, she looked like she was silently mouthing, "Get me out of here." Some speculated she picked the phrase by accident, misreading the original slogan, "Be barely present." Jimmy painted a picture of a first lady who seemed less like a political figure and more like an AI experiment gone wrong. Whether she was dodging cameras, rolling her eyes mid-speech, or standing frozen in place like an expensive wax figure, Melania somehow managed to be present and absent at the same time. One can only imagine her future memoir. Until then, we can only wonder, was she a reluctant first lady or the world's most advanced mannequin? The mystery both Wanda and Jimmy had completely torched the Trumps, leaving no ego unbruised. From his desperate need for validation to her apparent disinterest in everything, the roast was relentless. One thing's for sure, after this, neither Donald nor Melania will be able to look in a mirror without hearing the echoes of these jokes.